Rodri did his work. Messi did his work. On a very good day, they both deserve it. There have been many times at this World Cup that a lot of fans and pundits talk about how controversial the World Cup games for Argentina is in their favor. But this decision from FIFA is way off the charts. Lionel Messi deserves every bit of respect and recognition for this World Cup. He was outstanding in every single game for Argentina. And if winning the World Cup trophy gets you the golden ball, then they should just retire the sport. No need for great players to waste their efforts and later get nothing out of it. That's the worst decision I've seen in a World Cup final. Rodri is an exceptional player with great talent. But looking at the stats at this World Cup between him and Lionel Messi, there's no comparison at all. The stats don't lie, and the performance as well don't lie too. So why would this be different from performances? This kind of mentality is the reason why defenders are hardly mentioned for individual honors. I play right back in football. I'm not a professional. But a few years ago, while I was still in school, any tournament we had, while I was playing right back, any tournament we had, I would, as a right back, my priority then was always to overlap in order to go and get assists. I was always overlapping with the mindset of trying to get assists so that at the end of the tournament, I could be mentioned among the people deserving of individual awards. I would always neglect my primary duty, which was defending the ball. Because as a defender, it doesn't matter how many clean sheets you keep. If you're not scoring or assisting, you will never be mentioned for individual awards. And that's the nonsense that this guy is just saying now. That when you compare the stats, there is no comparison. Why are we comparing stats of a forward that was basically playing 9 and a defensive midfielder? Why are we comparing such stats? Have we lost our minds? How can you be comparing the performance of a 9 and a 6? What is the sole duty of a defensive midfielder? Is his duty to score and assist? How many times did Messi do the work of a defensive midfielder? Now, don't get me wrong. I don't get it twisted. If Argentina had won the World Cup, I would also believe or accept that Messi should be the golden ball winner, right? In fact, let me even be honest. Up until they announced Rodri as the golden ball winner of this year's World Cup, I did not even think about it. Like, Rodri was not in the picture for me. I was honestly thinking about Porro or Cucurella. I did not even think about Rodri. But in retrospect, giving Rodri the golden ball is one of the best decisions that I've seen them take in a very long time. In a very, very long time. And I'll tell you this. Cubarsí won the young player of the tournament, right? Personally, because I'm always very... The way I look at football is quite different from the way others look at it. I watch football to see what you play. I don't watch it because of stats. The stats are good and important, right? Personally, Cubarsí, based on this World Cup, I won't say it was that top class, the way people are saying it. I will relate it back to Rodri. When your midfield is so strong that you barely have work to do, look at Cubarsí was always in the halfway line now. Like, they were barely in their own part of the field in almost all their games. All their opponents, they locked them in one half. And if you watch football, you know that boils down majorly to the midfield. If your midfield is so strong that the defense is not even having so much work to do, you barely notice it. That is where Rodri comes in. Rodri is an anchor. The person holding the attack and the defense is keeping a balance between the two. That is why Cubarsí was good enough to be able to be given this award. And take it back to the keeper of the tournament, Unai Simón. Still boils down to the DM and the defenders. See how good Cucurella was. And instead of you to be saying, okay, they should not give it to Rodri, they should give it to Cucurella. How many clean sheets did he have? How many assists did Cucurella have? How many clean sheets did Porro have? How many assists, how many goals did Porro score? Your argument is not for those who are, since you want to be talking about stats. They have the stats, they have the clean sheet, they have the goal, they have the assist to show for it, Porro and Cucurella. Your argument is not with them. The argument is that Messi's own is greater. Why are you comparing a forward and a defensive midfielder's performances? You're comparing stats for the player of the tournament. If you want to compare stats, go and compare it with Mbappe. Compare it with an attacker. And speaking of Mbappe, another post I saw said that the third place match is not even supposed to be, because apparently now Mbappe has now won the highest goal scorer of this 2026 World Cup, and it boiled down to the final game, which is that third place game. For this particular one now, I don't have any opinion about it. He may be right, he may be wrong, but the game is the game. The game is the game. They gave him a third place match to play. He played it and scored 2 goals. Shikena, any other thing you're saying now is it's your business. So, if you want to compare stats, compare Messi and Mbappe, who are both attackers. You cannot be telling me that you want to use the stats of an attacker to compare the stats of a midfielder. Now, let's even go to the players one-on-one. Let's go to the players one-on-one. Throughout this tournament, every match Argentina played, I would always go and post or make videos and say, Messi, they must me. Messi still they off me. Because when he went to MLS, right, I believed or I thought, when I used to see the goals, I wake up for morning, I will see Messi don't score this one, Messi don't score that, Messi don't give us, I'll see him. It looks easy on the eye. I'll be like, maybe it's just the league. But he came to the World Cup and proved me wrong. So every match Argentina played and Messi did the things he did, I would always be surprised and like, wow, this guy still get up. But now let us be honest to ourselves. In how many of those games was Messi active for 90 minutes? How many? Just leave banter, leave any sort of bias. Most of the games Argentina played were played in the second half. What happened then is that for the first half, I'm not talking about group stage. Group stage, they won most of the games in the first half. From the knockout, from the first half, it will just be the midfield and the defense doing the work, trying to make sure that they keep it 0-0 or at least 1-0. When the game becomes tough, that is when Messi comes in. Towards 70 minutes to the 90 minutes. That is like saying that he's just showing up for 20 minutes of the game. And I'm not using it against him, he's old. So that one, I started being old, right from time, Messi know the mark. It's never part of the marking game. And it's understood because there is his energy for the attack, which he usually delivers. Right? But don't come and be comparing somebody, for me, that is only active in an average of 20 minutes of games to Rodri that keeps on playing out his heart from minute 1 to minute 90. Running from the defense to the attack, meeting up everything, making tackles, keeping the game sane, controlling the whole game. Don't give me such comparisons. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. That's why we never call defenders for individual awards, because they don't have the goals or the assists to show for it. Why would they have the goals or assists to show for it? Is their work not to defend? Is Rodri's work not a defensive midfielder? Why should you be comparing him to Messi? Those are the kind of comparisons that when people bring up, it makes me sick, because it shows that you don't watch the game. You're just there for the stats. If football is now a game of stats, then don't call it the player of the tournament, which is golden ball. Don't call it that. Call it the highest goal scorer of the tournament, which is what Mbappe got. If you want to talk about goals and assists, that's the reason for the highest goal scorer award. And in leagues, you see that they have a separate one for assist, playmaker award. If that is what you're after, then go for those things. You cannot come and say that you are fighting for player of the tournament, and then you're looking at just who scored goal and who scored assists. We not be the same game all of us they watch. The game where you watch, not be the same game where I watch. The games you watch, are they not the same games I watched? That you see Rodri doing everything he did because there's no goal assist to show, but you say that he cannot compare it. You cannot compare it. His work is what he did. So it's just like saying that you can never bring out a keeper for any of these awards because they did not score or assist. But that keeper, they keep clean sheet die. What is the sense in that kind of reasoning? Some things I hear or some things I see makes me sick. Makes me question if We just want a football now to now be a game of goals and assists, and then the other part of the football is not needed. England played France 6-4, and everybody came out and said that's the game of the tournament. How is that the game of the tournament? A game of poor defenses. The 4 goals that France shipped in was because of whatever Konate came there to do. Immediately Upamecano came into the game. See how he just tightened the defense for as long as he could. The defense was clear. 6-4 because they don't carry goals go everywhere. That was the game of the tournament. How? How? What happened to Argentina's 3-2 against Egypt, or their 3-2 with Cape Verde? That was, for me, one of the best games of the tournament. But because they don't pack goals, score for one match, 10 goals in one match, England France has become the game of the tournament. We now narrow down football to just goals and assists. Meanwhile, there are other aspects of the game. Personally, give Cucurella the player of the tournament. He deserves it. He played at his heart in everything. He took shots, he had the assist. So what if you want to come to start, he has it, he has clean sheets. Don't come and be making them stupid comparisons. Cannot be comparing an attacker and a defensive midfielder. Rodri did his work. Messi did his work. On a very good day, they both deserve it. But they've given it to the person that won the World Cup at the end of the day.